Welcome back, Tribe. I have a video here from Carl Vernon Talks. He says something doesn't feel right. Let's get into it. Man in nature.
Good day to you.
Good day, brother. Indeed.
Do you ever get the feeling that something ain't quite right?
For a while now.
Or specifically, do you ever get the feeling like you don't quite fit in?
Yes, sir. Like everybody's an NPC. Everybody's a bot. Everybody's brainwashed. It's like personalities don't exist anymore. You're a literal projection of the content you consume. Yeah. Yeah, I get that feeling all the time. You can tell by what somebody thinks by the way they're dressed today. If you have a bull ring, if you have tattoos up to your neck, if you have rainbow colored hair, piercings everywhere, I can tell how you vote. I can tell what policies you think are correct. I could tell the party you're for. You could tell a lot by the way a person thinks, just simply observing how they dress. Isn't that crazy? Before you could look at somebody, I don't know how long ago, but decades ago, you could look at somebody and wonder, I wonder what that person thinks. I wonder what they believe. Isn't that nuts?
Some of the best examples of this, because they bring about some raw emotion, because we're so indoctrinated to fit in, aren't we? Yeah. You got to fit in. You've got to be like everybody else. Because when you're not like that, well, you're outside of the pack and you're a loner and you're a bit weird, and that's the indoctrination. If you ain't part of the group, what's wrong with you? And you'll probably remember strong feelings, because I believe that at some stage we've all been through it. But the most likely stage that we've been through it was, say, at school. The rawest of emotions bring about the most profound memories. And we will all remember times being at school and feeling isolated, feeling alone, feeling like we weren't part of the group. Maybe we got left out. Maybe we got picked towards the end for a PE lesson. Maybe our friends weren't in our class at a particular time and therefore we felt isolated. You know, you'll remember it. You'll remember it. And I bring up school because of the heavy indoctrination that we have. And it starts early, doesn't it? But what about as an adult? What about when you're growing up? What about when you feel something ain't quite right? When you feel like you don't fit in? One of the best sayings attached to this, I believe, goes something like, you're of the world but not in it, I think is the saying, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. In the world but not of it. You know what I mean? Feels a bit like that, doesn't it? You will go and do things in life, and there'll be things that probably lots of different people enjoy doing. Things like, I don't know, let's pick some very tangible examples. Going to a beach, going on holiday, sunbathing and sitting on a beach, going to a theme park, going to a party, right? And you're meant to enjoy stuff like that, but what about when you don't? What about when you go to a party or a social event and you just don't feel right? You just don't feel connected at all. You don't feel connected to the event or the people or the situation or the joy that you're meant to experience. You ever felt like that? See, I believe this is more common. Certainly more common than we're led to believe, because what we're made to believe is that if everybody else is enjoying it, then I should. And I definitely ain't going to admit it if I don't, because that'll make me strange. It'll make me weird. It will make me an outsider. And some people have grown to be more comfortable with that than others. But there's many people still in hiding. And I want to try and sort of delve into this a little bit, because I think a lot of people call it depression. A lot of people call it low mood when you're not enjoying something, but you're meant to enjoy it. You hear the bird?
Nice.
Some of you guys are very familiar with your bird sounds, aren't you? The frig is that? Loads of people call it depression, low mood, when you can't enjoy something. And I wouldn't discount that, but I think it's something else. See, I think it's you being ready for something else. I think it's you being ready for something new. It's you being ready for a new stage. See, what happens is You might feel, I'm going to go downhill. You might feel a bit guilty when you go out and you don't enjoy yourself. Birds loud. When you go out and you don't enjoy yourself, because normally you might be with your partner or your friend or somebody who knows you, and they'll want you to enjoy yourself. You'll want to enjoy yourself. You'll probably want nothing more. And when you're not, you might feel guilty about yourself and guilty for others around you.
I think a lot of this stuff manifests. I've been thinking about this recently. A lot of this is like a low level stress from the modern world. Hear me out on this. I'm going to make some spicy statements here potentially. I think, as I was thinking about this, obesity is a result of a mental illness, not actually overeating. Overeating causes you to be obese, but the reason we're so fat today is I think there's a low level of anxiety, depression, whatever other mental illness, a low state of stress that causes a human being to constantly overeat to feel good. So if you think about food, for example, food feels good. It's one of those fundamental things of being a human being, an animal alive on this earth, is that you get to breathe, you get to eat, sleep, have sex. Sleep feels good, having sex feels good, and food feels very good. It's one of the most easily accessible things to everybody, food. When food is equated with feeling good, which it is for all of us, because we need it to survive, it was built into us, it has a double-edged sword to it. When you're under a state of stress, like stress eating, binge eating, people have already found out, quite a lot of us, that when you're not having a good day, when you don't feel good, your brain rushes to feel good at all costs. Now, in society, this manifests differently depending on the vice that you have. Gluttony is one that's gotten a lot of people. They eat food, gamble, have sex, do drugs, whatever it is. People are always looking for a way to feel good, so people pick a feel-good cope. Now, the reason we're so fat in the United States, it's apart from the bad food, but there's something more fundamental that's going wrong here because people choose to eat bad food because bad food feels even better than normal food, right? So the trigger is the same. We're all living under stress. More stress than our ancestors probably ever had to live on a day-to-day basis because more things invade our mind. Constantly distracted, constantly connected to work, connected to the internet, connected to other people's voices, their opinions, everything, never touching grass, never being alone with our thoughts, always under stress of losing the place that you live in if you can't afford the mortgage or the rent, the car breaking on you, your job disappearing because your company downsized, blah, 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 blah. So we live in a constant low level state of stress, which for a lot of people causes them to overeat, to feel good, to go get a snack, to go get that sugary drink, to go get that processed, ultra processed food. Now, like all diseases, it comes in a spectrum. We like to look at people and go, yeah, he's just old, man. She's an older woman, just put a little bit of weight on. Well, if we look at what society looked like pre-1970s and stuff, everybody was skinny. Like quite literally everybody. It was rare to see a fat person. Now it's rare to see a skinny person. So what happened was, as we modernized and this spectrum emerged, you have people that are slightly overweight, very overweight, supremely overweight. A lot of people dying at age 30. A lot of fat influencers dying at 30 trying to push a lifestyle. That's not conducive to their health. But underlining this all is this low-level state of constant stress that people are experiencing from this life, almost like a mouse utopia experiment, but with food. So I think the reason that we have obesity in all its varying ranges from just overweight, a little overweight, to absolute obese to the highest scale is because of this stress. I think one day in the future, we're going to look at and see, like, the latest research would say obesity isn't a cause of the food that we're eating. The food that we're eating is mainly a symptom. The actual cause is mental instability. People are mentally unstable. Therefore, they're coping with food. Therefore, that's why they're eating. From the little beer gut that you have to anything, it's just the animal in a low state stress mentality, a mode that you're constantly living with. So then you hook onto a cope. The easiest one that you could possibly have is food. And that's how you indulge. Now, this applies to everything, not just obesity and fat, but this could go to antisocial behavior, to not enjoying being out with friends anymore for the very same reasons. You're in that low state of stress constantly, so you can't even enjoy being out with friends because of whatever social media, the internet, TV, show, whatever you've been watching, all those thoughts invading your mind, the stress from trying to make bills, at the end of the month, getting a consistent job, a decent paycheck that allows for some breathing room, not always teetering on the edge. This uncertainty has caused wide ramifications for the mental health of people. And this is what we're seeing in society today. This is why people feel like they don't fit in. This is why people have gotten so fat. This is why people have gotten so antisocial. This is why people are so dependent on pharmacological drugs to keep them going. This can explain everything wrong with people. This is why people cut off their private parts, put on opposite gender dresses. They try to feel like the other gender. They'll do everything they can to escape the low state of stress that they're constantly under 24/7, bombarded by it. And then again, I call it a low state of stress, but it depends on the individual and their circumstances. That low state of stress could be a high state of stress, that you're highly stressed every single day, just like that spectrum that I mentioned earlier. If you're in a high state of stress, you might do something crazy like cut off your breast. You might do something like cut off, other parts of your body. You might try to identify as something completely different. That's a high state of stress to be in. You try to find a way out and you think you've found your answer, which is something that extreme that, you can't come back from that. But for other people, because it's on spectrum, it can manifest into being slightly antisocial, not enjoying the presence of other people, to something as simple as like you overeat, you go indulge in some McDonald's or fast food or processed food here and there to cope with that state of stress that you're constantly under, which is causing you to be, slightly overweight or to get a beer gut or to, all that stuff. This is what's wrong. I think, his video says something doesn't feel right. I think the premise he's touching on is on a fundamental level. The society that we've built is not tuned for the human experience on Earth. We are living a fake life. This isn't natural. This isn't how we were naturally supposed to live. This is a synthetic environment that we've built that seems like it should be the natural progression of man and nature, but really it's taken us away from the very fundamental experiences that humans used to have, which is causing this massive disconnect psychologically for us that we were not bred for. We weren't built to live in this world, guys. We were built for a very specific kind of lifestyle that we no longer live at all. And this is how it manifests in society on a wider scale. I think there's going to be a movement in the future, in like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know how long it's going to take, but there's going to be a massive movement to completely reject modern living and go back to simpler times augmented by technology. We're seeing the beginning rumblings of it in the homesteading. Essentially, it's luxury farming. It's where you live away from the city in the madness, but close enough should you need an emergency visit to the doctor, or you got to go to the grocery store and get a couple of the basics you can't grow on your couple of acres of land, right? That's why it's called luxury farming, aka homesteading. Only the privileged can do it at the moment. But I think there will be a massive drain of the city because people are going to realize how mentally unstable it makes a person become living in the quote concrete jungle. And maybe you could use this as a hypothesis, and there are some early markers that maybe say it's true. If you go to the countryside, to the boonies, why is it that those people are always the most relaxed, the most mentally strong and stable, the happiest? Their families are doing great. You ever notice that when you go into country towns or the boonies far away, people are so kind. They're so nice. They're so grounded in reality. They're not nervous. They're not angry. They're not rushing anywhere. It's just, they could sit down, have a conversation with you when you go into a shop to buy something, stop by a gas station, have a talk. It's so smooth. It's so natural. It feels like how it should be. I think those are indicators that when you get away from this modernity, then you go back to something closer of what we should be, smaller communities, more in nature like he is, stuff like that. And you start to realize that when you pull this curtain back, you come to that realization of, whoa, how messed up the modern world is, how messed up city life is, how messed up people are as a result of all this stuff, mentally and physically.
You might feel a bit selfish, but you just can't quite connect. You can't quite feel the things that you're meant to feel. Joy, whatever it is, yeah? Because you just don't feel part of it. You don't feel connected to it. Lots of people call that depression. See, I've been thinking about this. And like I said, although I wouldn't discount it, I think it's more likely that you're ready for a higher stage of spiritual awakening, spirituality, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it different things. One of the main things I like to call it is awareness. You're ready for a new stage of awareness. That's what I believe. When you go and do something and you can't quite connect to it and it don't feel quite right and you're not experiencing the joy that you're meant to experience, it's because you're ready for something more. You're ready for something more than what this game offers you. You're ready for something more than what this system and this matrix shoves down your throat. Does that make sense? So yeah, the system will very much try and convince you that there's something not quite right, or that you're depressed, and hey, just go and get that medication, you'll be just fine. Yeah, this medication will make you enjoy whatever thing you need to enjoy. But that medication, that psychology, that medical intervention, whether it be
Yeah, it's just a Band-Aid on the real problem. Actually, it makes things worse because it numbs the thing you're supposed to feel head on. Anyways, the more time I spend in this society, the happier I am that I don't fit in. I'm 61, live alone. Just today, my daughter said to me, "You need community, Mom." I read, write, and paint. I have woods in my backyard, and I would rather watch the birds, turkeys, deer, bunnies, chipmunks, squirrels all day long than to watch foolish people doing their foolish things. Antisocial behavior is a trait of intelligence in a world full of conformists, Nikola Tesla. What's depressing is when you can clearly see straight through the BS and no one else can. The world is mostly spiritually bankrupt. Born in 1955, always felt this way. Now at 70, I'm content to not fit in. And my favorite bit on the subject is, you laugh because I'm different. I laugh because you're all the same. Yeah, we feel disconnected because they're destroying all the things that made us connected, like community, our streets, our towns, and everything now revolves around greed. God bless you all. It's called being awake. Your circle of friends becomes almost non-existent in time. It's not depression. You're walking a spiritual path. We are ready for the next level. When I realized it was this world that made me depressed, I started enjoying my own company. Not depressed. I love humanity, but I can't stand people. The saying goes, be in this world, but not of this world. Everybody's feeling this. Anyways, if you want to see more, links to the description below. Appreciate everybody that's been buying the shirts, the hats, and all the other stuff in the store. We've got it back live finally. So get your mugs, get your bug sandwiches, make masculinity great again. I can't wait. I already ordered my red masculinity hat. We'll be wearing it on live streams. As usual, boys, take care of yourselves mentally, physically, spiritually. Live authentically. Be yourself. Most people are empty shells. All their thoughts are curated from headlines, told what to think, how to behave, what to buy. It's very hard to find genuine, authentic people. That's why your circle gets smaller and smaller, the more and more you begin to awake from the quote matrix. See you on the next one.